Hello, my name is Charlene DeChico. It is with sincere passion that I am eager to learn about people, culture, true history, and the overall human experience. Join with me as I embark on this journey. This is your Community Spotlight.
My name is Bernie Youngbird. My Hidatsa name is Mirhabawiya, and I do garden for the college. I'm one of the faculty members of the Native American Studies department, and one of my classes is called Traditional Gardening and Foods. And as a part of that, we actually go out and plant traditional seed, and I have a little display here signifying some of the different kinds of seed I have. Different kinds of squash. We have two samples here, the Arikara squash and the orange squash. We had a number of good speakers today, wonderful speakers, sharing lots of information on gardening, our agricultural history of the three tribes. We had a number of people sharing personal stories about their gardening experiences and working with our traditional plants, also our seed. And so we have a display in the summit, and out here are going to be more displays set up. But I just set mine up so I could have it out now with a number of our different products. The four kinds of products we have for traditionally are Gagui, the squash, the Gohadu, which is the corn, the Awasha, which is the beans, and the Mapa, which is sunflowers. Those are the four. You hear often three sisters. We call it four sisters because we plant the four in our gardens. And so I have a display here which shows, the different kinds of, at least a couple of kinds of squash, the Arikara and Hidatsa squash that I have here, and we've got a number, 9 to 13 different kinds of corn, but I have only 4 to display here. The Mandan yellow corn, the Arikara white corn, this is the Mandan bright corn, and the Hidatsa blue corn. Each of the tribes have their own seeds with these different products, so just bear in mind that these are just samples. I do have the seeds for the Arikara squash here, and you can see they're very distinctly different. The Hidatsa orange squash is a little different looking there. And I saved those, and so part of my work with the college is teaching a traditional gardening class, and part of that I also save seed for my gardens. The last two are the bean, and we have different kinds of beans here. This is corn up here. This is a white bean, the Mandan white bean, the Arikara yellow bean, and these are Hidatsa red beans and Sheila beans. And we do have seeds, as you can see, my seed saving. This is just a sample of the ones I saved from my gardens, and these are available for tribal members to begin gardening. That's one of our goals and motivations, is to encourage our people to, if they are not already gardening, to go back to our gardening. I had a project called Arugadi Damakwats, which means returning to our gardens, and it's our tradition. So as the three tribes, we were all agricultural people, and sadly, because we were displaced from our homelands, it was more difficult to continue our gardening traditions, and including the ceremonies and everything that's attached to that. But they're kind of coming back now, which is really, a hopeful thing. Some of the gardens that are out there are traditional gardens, and they're getting seed to different members of the family. So that's what we're trying to encourage, to have more people begin to garden. And these seeds are available to the tribal members, I said, if they want to start. If they don't want to do a traditional garden initially and do contemporary, we'll help them with that too. We also have a wonderful ag department that will have assistance and help for that too. We do have plots out across, and so there's application process for that if anyone wants to garden the college gardens anyway. So lots of opportunity, and we encourage people to do that. I do want to show you the Hidatsa black sunflower. all the tribes have their own seed for sunflowers also. This one just happens to be a black sunflower, and they grow pretty high. These are about 10 to 12 feet high, and they have about 2 or 3 heads on them in there. This is kind of one of the bigger ones, but we've been having some difficulty getting these to grow because the varmints love them. they get eaten up by rabbits, and so I'm trying to find a way to get them protected this year so I can build up the seeds. So this is a project that Ruth brought for us to make mortar and pestles for our garden products and for anything that you want to grind. So we do have these now, and a number of other things that she with the Food Sovereignty and the Ag Department do. So we encourage people to keep an eye out on our website, or like your community news and so forth on the radio, for any events and so forth. We do a lot of things at harvest time too, on how to cook this food, how to prepare it, how to preserve it, and so it's a year-long process, and it's a life process for us. So that's what we're doing and introducing to our students here on campus. But it's also available to communities.
Sure.
Yeah. So it's a blessing to be able to do this yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when you say about the classes that you teach, are there fundamentals that you share? What are your basics in the class that you would?
Yes, I do. I utilize Buffalo Bird Woman's Garden, that book, which describes very intricately the Hidatsa Mandan style of traditional garden. So I use that as a model. The Arikara also have a traditional gardening method, and I am not knowledgeable about that, but I do give them resources to find out that system also. So that's, we also do ethnobotany section, that's some of the traditional foods like the berries that are out there on the plains, some of the roots, etc. So that's also part of the class.
Wow. And now today at the summit, what do you know if there was a main objective or a goal, or how do you think today, what was really the message?
I think basically it's to have people be aware that this is something that's very important to our people. We want to make sure our seeds are saved, our traditional seeds, and to be once again planted, and the products once again reintroduced to our diets, because they're very healthy. And today a lot of the food we have are processed and too much salt and sugar, but we do have some really up-to-date recipes for these traditional foods, so it'll be really easy to integrate into your diet. And so ultimately I think that's what we want, just to people garden again, and then also to use our foods again.
Right now,
the first plant for traditional gardens. This is planted like the first or second week of April.
So this is time.
Yeah,
this
this
one.
is the mapa, the sunflowers, and those are planted on the outside of the garden, and they should be out there now. But weather's been terrible, so we still have to plant those. And then the first week of June, we'll be doing the rest of the plants. And I typically do that within 1 to 2 days. I'll start with the corn, and then the beans in between, and then the squash on the outside. So that's
great.
all kind of done together. So I just made up a little worksheet, or handout I should say, how to start a Hidatsa traditional garden. It's actually Hidatsa Mandan, but Mahili is Hidatsa, so I just kind of respected that. So it's just some information, and then the steps to
Farming, gaming, and government services. That was our economy. Now we've since changed that. Energy came into play. And why is that important to what we're doing at the greenhouse? Very important. You see all the statistics we put on there as well. You see the Google Earth pictures. If you look and see on that, the gas that's out there. You can see Minneapolis, Chicago down to the bottom, and that's us up there looking like we're a city because of the flaring that was occurring at that time. That's key to this greenhouse, because what we're trying to do is capture that gas, convert it and compress it, move it into a huge generator. A generator that's going to grow food all year long, all day long, and grow food as well. Food sovereignty, environmental benefits, you see these things that I've got here as well too. all the different things that's gonna help us, growing healthy food, things that we're gonna do, capturing this, generating power, things of that nature as well. Here's our goals and objectives to energy and economic development, increase your standard of living, diversify our economy, and reduce federal dependency. That last one, I can't overestimate the importance of that last one, reducing federal dependency. Most Indian reservations will never climb out of the pit they put us in because we depend on the federal government. The minute you stop depending on them, you will come out of the pit, okay? That's very key. I go around talking in many, many places throughout the nation. That's my message to tribes. Do that. That's your key. Native green growth. We have our own copyright for the products that we're gonna grow, NG2. And so you'll see out on shelves as they hit the markets, USDA, Air Force bases, everywhere we can, we're gonna grow our food. We're not growing it just for our own consumption, we're growing it to export as well, just like we did for thousands of years as a strong, strong nation. So overall objective and purpose, economic sovereignty, food sovereignty, development, all these things that you see up there as well. Very important what we're doing. We're gonna reinstitute the importance of agriculture to our people and our nation. Okay, and then I explained before, generating heat and electricity is a giant generator basically. We're also gonna get some WAPA power to enhance things in neighbors as well. And then a gas transload storage facility. We're gonna process gas coming down from a pipeline that we now own to the north, about 6 miles north. We'll run a dedicated line down. Again, capturing that gas instead of letting it burn at night, nobody gets paid, impacting our environment. We're gonna capture that and grow food. We have become the model in Indian country, how you can take the symbiotic relationship between energy, right, and agriculture, and you tie them together. And you'll be even more prosperous. That's what we're after here. Project site, where we have the greenhouse, things of that nature. Always welcome to come by. We'll do tours for those of you who wish to do so. We're hoping to be all completed within a year's time. Infrastructure, the land that's over by the partial area, just as you crossed, many of you came by there probably just recently, maybe today. Other fast facts that we have here, 141,000 square feet. You have all that, the growing house, the areas that we have, different places, all these different things you see are the factors. I have it all brochure for all of you to take a look at. But there's the gas capture model. You know, we take it out of the ground, bring that gas over, they will temporarily come into tubes, giant tubes, transport it in. We'll contract with vendors who will go up to isolated wells where there's no gas hookups. They will capture it independently, capture that gas, put it in these long trailers, and they bring it on over by contract over to our facility. We hook it up, we burn that gas, heat, light, carbon dioxide, all day, every day. And that's how we grow food. That's what we're going to do. But that's a model of how all that works as well. Then of course the NG2 product, you see the first crops that we're going to grow, the leafy greens, the tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, and then my favorite, strawberries. And the next, you got those listed there as well. We're going to be growing basically in the first phase one, almost 2 million pounds of food. 2 million pounds of food. And you see right here, you see this, the hypotheticals, the drawings, the A&E that we did in the beginning. That's what it's going to ultimately look like. You'll notice one of the things in front, we're encouraging agriculture in the communities and on the reservation. You see all that picture of all those things lined up right on the front. That's going to be a farmer's market area. So we're going to encourage people to grow crops at home, bring those crops over and open that up and attract a lot of outsiders to come, not only for the greenhouse, but to buy our goods for people selling privately as well too. So we're trying to stimulate agriculture at the same time as well. And then you see the facility today, that's maybe a month or two back or what have you. It's going as fast as we can, but again, we're not going to be completely finished until probably a little less than a year from now, but we will start growing. It looks as early as July, no later than August. We're going to start going into our leafy greens with lettuce. As soon as we establish our takeaway agreements, it could be local bounty out of Montana, Air Force bases and things of that nature. It's our position that we're gonna end up, you're gonna go to Fort Peck, Turtle Mountain, Spirit Lake, and you're gonna see in their commodity warehouses, food that we grew ourselves. Food that we provide and we will have shipped to those commodity programs throughout all Indian country in the Northern Plains. That's one of our goals as well too. So that being said, going around, one back up there. Good, Joe. Anyway, so if there are any questions, it's a really an exciting project. Again, it's a lot of work, very expensive, more expensive than we thought it would be. The real amazing thing about this is phase one. You know, if I have my way about it, so to speak, our tribal nation could go into 3 or 4 phases of this greenhouse. We could be growing 12 to 15 million pounds of food annually, not just for self-consumption, but for exportation. So I got this idea out of a magazine as I end here. You look this up. It's called A Tiny Country Feeds the World. If you look at National Geographic in August of 2017, in fall of 2017, a very good article in there. It's all about Holland and the Dutch. They have thousands of greenhouses there. They're the tiny country, barely bigger than Fort Berthold, right? But they sell more food and more products in the world than any other nation. Per acre, they sell more food than any country in the world. They are only second in gross volume because we have 230 times the land mass than they have. If we didn't have that, it'd be astronomical how much they could grow. But a tiny country feeds the world. I read that. And what one person can do, so can another. What one country can do, so can another. They have oil and gas, Dutch Shell. They capture that gas, they compress it, they grow all this food, and they export it throughout the world. They are the leading exporter of agriculture in the world, hands down. So we went there, we visited them, and we saw what they've done. We changed that whole historical drama of them coming to our country, invading our country, taking things from us. We turned around and went to their country, right? Try to take something from them. And we actually got to sit down at The Hague, the capital of the Netherlands itself. Sat down with their officials and worked out an informal agreement to work together.
My name is Marie Ducro, and if I see a few people up here that probably remember me as Dickens. So, anyways, I am Eric Ralanatsa, and I live in the White Shield segment, and I actually own 2 Pro Gardens. I am a lifelong, I'm going to change this picture. Here we go. Nature lover. So, wait, hold on, my glasses. I got these bifocals, and I'm still getting used to them. So, if I kind of go like this, I'm all. Okay, so, anyways, we have about 7 or 8 gardens out on at least a 10-acre property, which is at my ranch out there. But I am a lifelong nature lover. I'm an artist. I've lived away from home. I went to Newtown until I was probably about a junior. Got my education at Haskell Indian Nations University, went to University of New Mexico, went on to Penn State. I used to be a counselor for teenagers, ages 13 to 19, and then worked in the corporate field and managed about 4 women's clinics. But it's not about that. We're about growing things and gardening and for the love of nature. Like, we are in a magical time right now because this is when the magic happens, right? So last year we were going around to different farmers markets and would go to Bismarck, Washburn, Newtown, and I got some feedback from my community, and they were like, Marie, why aren't you here in setting up, farmers market here in White Shield? This is your community. This is where you're from. And I said, you know what? You're absolutely right. So that's where it started. So we're gonna have a farmers market. It sets up here July. Again, that depends on harvest. It's most likely gonna be from October to November. And we are recruiting vendors. We do have a handful of vendors that are coming in. It's open to the public. And if you're interested, you can email whiteshieldfarmersmarket@gmail.com, or you can call or text either myself or my partner Devin Ward right here. She's from the Twin Buttes area, And you can follow us for updates.
The gardens are located on the south side of Highway 23, so I no longer have to tell you which black mailbox and which cattle garden to drive over. Maybe. Oh, twice now. There we go. So down in our gardens, the college leases this land from the Army Corps of Engineers, and there's 30 acres total. We have 7 fields. The field 1 and field 2 that are pointed out there are our community garden plots. They are divided up into 30 separate plots. The plots are about 30 feet by 40 feet apiece. We did add water to the plots, so if some of you have gardened down there in the past, when I first started, we literally were dragging like 6 hoses across the field to get to the back corner plots. So we added these water spigots in here to make it a lot simpler for our gardeners to keep their plots watered when they need to without dragging 100 pounds of hoses. This year, I put the community garden plot in a Google Doc. So these flyers are circulating and all over campus, and I brought some in the back. So you can snap that with your phone and fill out the Google Doc. You have different options, so I don't want you guys to think that the only way you can garden is by taking on a whole plot by yourself. You can either do that, divide up a plot, say I only want so many feet, or have a group of people together. You're welcome to share a plot together. Or another thing is just to come down and volunteer a little bit. So we'll always allow anybody who wants to come out and just try something out to do a little bit of work and hands-on work, and then we'll square up with vegetables at the end of the season. If you do choose to do a community garden plot, we just ask for some data. So this helps with our grant funding. As I said, our whole ag department's only grant funded, so some of this data is important because it comes back. And when my supervisor needs data, then we have it, and that helps create a better argument when we are looking for funds to help do things like add water. So some of the garden plots, they don't always all get used. This is in the past. When I started, a team came for us to do some research, what do they call it? Community research. So we planted some perennial grains. I said yes because they're perennial, and they were also really, really good for the bees. In I think it was a couple of years ago, we had really, really cold winter and little to no snow. And so those plants did not make it. So that was our findings for that, is in our conditions that year didn't make it. We have had students in the past teamed up together. There was 4 or 5 of them that were all kind of want to try it, so they had their own garden. Another partner that's been down there is the diabetes program. They have a dedicated plot that they have a team that comes down and they utilize it. They do a lot of cooking classes over the diabetes program, so they use some of this food over there. And the community garden plots are just a lot of fun to walk around in the middle of the summer, even if you don't want to touch anything. It's just fun to look around because everybody gardens different. So it's a big talking point, and we learn from each other by trying out things and seeing what other people do and what works and what don't work. So kind of like Charlie said, I can tell you a lot of what not to do, and so it's always a lesson learned, even if it doesn't survive very well. These are just some pictures out of our gardens, the community garden plots. Some people use trellises. Another one of our plots we've dedicated, it's in the back corner, so it was where most people were like, oh, I don't want to go that far. We dedicated that one to the bees, so we did a pollinator garden there. The map in the middle shows you all the different pollinator gardens that they're certified from NDSU, so you can look on their website, and a lot of them are even people's front yards. So they just decided, hey, I want to certify my front yard for the bees, and if you have the right amount of plants that bloom all at the right times, then you can have it certified, and they put these nice signs up so people know what they're looking at and can be more aware. We also have a compost pile there, so we encourage people to compost their leftover scraps or food. It is a slow pile, we turn it over, but it does work, so a little bit of water, a little bit of turning, and you can make compost. Here's that QR code again, in case you want to snap it. We have, they are all first come, first serve. I have about 9 or so of them in now. Like I said, there's 30 plots available. There are some people who come back every year. So if you're interested, I encourage you to try it out. We will help you some with prepping. We have a tiller if you do want to till it. And then we have the water spigots. We have some tools down there, but other than that, it's for you guys to enjoy and learn how to grow hands-on doing it yourselves. But we are available and we'll help in whatever way we can. You just have to ask. We do a lot of workshops down at the gardens or with the produce that comes from the gardens. This is just an idea of what's coming up for the year. It's dependent on weather and harvest. The next one is the transplanting workshop down at the gardens. We have a lot of different options down there for you guys to try. We've been doing the farmers market. We started that 2 years ago now, and there's been some more vendors coming out, and it's a lot of fun to meet people. And we don't have fees either, and if just one time in the season you have way too much of something, you can just show up one day with your way too much of something and get it into good hands. And so here's the flyer for that. These are hanging up around campus too. There's some around town. As the dates get a little closer, I was going to push them out a little harder. By now I will forget about the end of July. But as Shadlin alluded to too, like the whole idea is to have some fresh, good, nutrient-dense produce that we all get to eat. I should mention our gardens are all pesticide and herbicide free, so we don't use any of that. It's practiced organic, it's not certified organic, but that's the goal. So if you guys ever have questions or anything, like I'm here to try to help you however I can. Lisa's the one who cooked the food today. She's down there. Her daughter is an intern. She's standing in the back. You'll find them down there in
How do we look forward and create a better vision of tomorrow, considering sustainability, considering our teachings, and using those as values and ethics as we go forward and create our better futures. So Indigenous tradition means a lot of different things to different communities. I've fortunately been able to work throughout Turtle Island and meet with many other nations and get to learn from grassroots folks, from traditional folks, some of the work that they're going and doing. So it's been real fortunate for me to share these things with these communities I work with, but it's across the board, from energy to food, sovereignty, to language and cultural revitalization, to natural building, to taking a look at government structures, like what was enforced on us by RIA and Oslerfeld American policies, and also taking a look at traditional government structures. So it means a lot of different things.
Anyone can choose to make a difference. You can help people succeed, rebuild after disasters, protect the environment, or feed the hungry. Not only will you make a difference for others, but for yourself. You can earn money for college, learn career skills, and make friendships that last a lifetime. Make a difference. Choose your future. Choose AmeriCorps.